Uh-oh, DC fans. Birds of Prey has had its box office opening weekend, and it's underperforming pretty hard. But that's surprising and perplexing because the reviews of this movie have just been fantastic. It's gotten a lot of glowing, pre-opening weekend buzz. The hype was strong. A lot of people who've seen this movie really seem to like it, at least the ones posting on Twitter. So what's going on here? Well, I have some reasons as to why that might be, so let's get into them. Number one, I think the movie was overhyped. Like, I thought Birds of Prey was a good movie, but I didn't think it was a great movie, right? I didn't think it was... Before I saw it, I saw a lot of these early reviews, which were making it out to be like... It almost seemed like they were saying this movie was like a cinematic masterpiece. And I saw Birds of Prey Thursday night, and I was like, this movie is solid, but it's not like one of my top DC movies or top superhero movies. So I don't get what the hype is about. Now, again, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I wasn't like blown away by it. I don't really understand why the hype for Birds of Prey is as big as it is, because while it's not a bad movie, I didn't think it was a really great one either. And I think a lot of other people who saw Birds of Prey felt the same way. Now, there are people who love Birds of Prey a lot, which is fine, but I don't think there weren't as many people who loved Birds of Prey and were floored by it, obviously, as you might think there would have been, or else I think this movie would have had a stronger opening weekend. Number two, I think the movie had a muddled focus, right? And what I mean by that is, I'm going to use an analogy or a metaphor, a comparison that I hope makes sense. If you're someone who has started or has thought about starting a YouTube channel or an online business, or you're someone who watches those kinds of videos about how to start a channel, an online business, build your brand, or whatever, a lot of those people making those videos will give you this advice. Stick to one topic or one focus starting out and just stick to that. Don't try to do two or three at the same time or blend two or three into one. Just try to do this one thing and excel at that before you try to branch out and do these other kinds of focuses or brands. And I feel like Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of Harley Quinn tried to blend two or muddle two IPs in one, Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn, when they really should have just picked one of those and focused on this movie, right? Either have made this, titled the movie just The Adventures of Harley Quinn or Birds of Prey, not try to mash both of them together, because what happened is, the result is, I think that muddled this movie's focus and the marketing and made it confusing for some people, right? Because think about it. Let's say that you're someone who doesn't read comic books, right? You know who Harley Quinn is and you like Harley Quinn, but you see this movie that she stars in, but the name of the movie is Birds of Prey. So you're kind of so is this a Harley Quinn movie? What's this about? I know who Harley Quinn is, but she doesn't have anything to do with birds. She has some hyenas. She has a beaver named Bernie, right? Isn't her name Bernie the Beaver? She is a sidekick of Joker. She has jokes, Harley Quinn clown stuff going on. But where's all this bird stuff? I don't understand what this movie's focus is. But let's say on the other side, the flip side, you're a Birds of Prey fan, right? And you're ooh, a Birds of Prey movie's coming out. But why is Harley Quinn in it? When I see all the trailers, the movie says Birds of Prey, but the character they're all focusing on is Harley Quinn. They don't really talk too much about Huntress or Black Canary or Barbara Gordon. It's this other chick. Do you see what I mean? It's Birds of Prey was it took two very different DC Comics IPs, which are very different. A Birds of Prey comic is very different than a Harley Quinn comic. And they pushed them, they forced them into a blender, and they mushed both of their titles into this one long, weird title, and they just put it out there. And I think a lot of people were kind of what kind of movie is this? And you can even tell from number 3. The trailers were confusing, right? I think a lot of people saw the Birds of Prey trailers, and they were what is this? It's it looks interesting, but I can't tell what kind of movie this is. It looks very colorful and artistic, and there's action, I guess, but it's also a breakup movie. Harley Quinn is crying over the Joker. Like, it just seemed weird. Like, there were people who liked the Birds of Prey trailers. I thought the first Birds of Prey trailer was pretty interesting. But there were a lot of other people out there who were scratching their heads. And you know there were. There were people who were like, I don't understand. They didn't know what they were supposed to get from this movie or what the focus or tone was. And I think that the trailers were kind of like not, because of that reason, they kind of were underwhelming, right? People were kind of like, this movie looks weird and I don't know what to make of it. So that didn't really work to excite them too much to see this movie. Number 4. The R rating in this case, I think, worked to the movie's detriment, right? Harley Quinn was the movie's main focus. But Harley Quinn is a character who appeals like a lot. A lot of her audience, are young and teenage girls, right? People who may have been put off, some of whom or a lot of whom by an R rating. Like, if you wanted to get a lot of young people into a movie like this, because I think a lot of Harley Quinn's audience is young people, maybe this movie should have been a PG-13 movie, right? Because I think the R rating put up like a wall or a barrier that kept a lot of people from seeing this movie, or, with their parents even, who would have seen it otherwise. Because Harley Quinn, even though, she is kind of in the comics, she's like a sidekick or a girlfriend to like a psychopathic killer. I mean, I get it. If you think about the character herself, the character's not really a PG-13 character. But regardless, her appeal, whether, it makes sense or not, is to a lot of, younger people who would be great for a PG-13 movie. But they made this movie an R rating. But if you saw Birds of Prey, the R rating was really unnecessary because there was nothing really in Birds of Prey that you could have told Birds of Prey and just made it PG-13. Like, it didn't need to have its R rating. It's like they just put it on there to try to make the movie edgy. But an R rating wasn't as necessary for Birds of Prey as it would have been for something like The Joker, right? Joker needed to be R rated to tell like this hard-hitting, gritty subject matter. Birds of Prey wasn't trying to make, a gritty comment on society. It was like this fun, light-hearted, really, action movie. So they didn't need to do that. I think that, Warner Brothers and other studios, even though they know because Joker made $1 billion with an R rating, I don't think that means that they should just casually start making, like, all these movies R-rated if these movies do not need to be R-rated, right? Like, let's take Shazam, right? Shazam, which made more money than Birds of Prey in its opening weekend, that's a PG movie. If they had made it an R movie, I don't think it would have made as much money because a lot of Shazam's appeal is to little kids and young people, and that R rating would have like kept a lot of them out of the theater. And I think the same thing happened with Birds of Prey and all those young Harley Quinn fans. And last, but certainly not least, maybe the movie was too female focused. And what I mean by this is that in Margot Robbie's pursuit into making this movie, such a girl power movie, which she did. I mean, as seeing Birds of Prey, I actually didn't think Birds of Prey, the movie itself, was like that. I didn't think it was like a feminist movie exactly, but it had a very strong girl power vibe, and so did like a lot of the marketing and promotional materials. But was the effect of that is that only women wanted to see this movie, or mostly women. Now, of course, there were men who saw Birds of Prey, but I think that the audience for this movie is mostly female, which is great, but the problem is it was so female, I think that a lot of women were the only people who saw the movie. I think there were a lot of men who decided to skip Birds of Prey, because I don't think that the movie was really designed to appeal to men that much at all. And I know a lot of people, when you say that, they get upset. It's like, we don't have to appeal to men. And no, you don't have to appeal to men. You can appeal to whomever you want in a movie, but if you don't want to appeal to men, then you shouldn't really expect men to come and see the movie because you didn't make it to appeal to them, right? Like movies like, Paul Feig's Ghostbusters and Charlie's Angels, although Charlie's Angels, Birds of Prey is going to do more at the box office than Charlie's Angels did. But a lot of these like really big female empowerment feminist movies, they have to ask themselves, this whole like female empowerment vibe, while it's good for a specific audience, and me personally as someone making the movie who likes that kind of messaging myself, is that, how mainstream is that, right? Is that the right messaging you want for a blockbuster that's supposed to reach a mass audience? Because I think evidence is showing us that the audience for like strong girl power messaging might be relatively small. Right? I mean, Mad Max Fury Road was very critically successful and was very feminist in its messaging, but the movie didn't really make that much money compared to what, like Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel made. So, maybe that's something that people making, girl power superhero movies need to think about going forward. Or, movies like, Ghostbusters or Charlie's Angels, strong girl power movies. How can we tell that girl power messaging and make it attractive to an audience beyond people who really want to see girl power stuff? So there we have it. My reasons why I think Birds of Prey might not have connected with audiences the way a lot of people hoped and expected. But what do you think? Do you agree with the reasons I put forward? Do you disagree? And if you do agree with them, were there some other reasons that I missed that should have been in this video? Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.